You're live.
Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to the, today is June 24th, Tuesday, June 24th, 2025 meeting of the Newcastle Town Board. The board has been in executive session and now I'd like to ask for a motion to open the work session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are going to start our work session with a discussion of an RFP for the Newcastle Town Hall space for a feasibility assessment. Rob, do you wanna get us started on the topic?
Sure, so Sabrina is joining us online tonight. I think really kind of the genesis here, this came about after the Envision survey, and I think we came to realize that this is a very old building. If you sit in here for any length of time, like the supervisor did the other day, and it was really, really hot. The building is really inadequate for our needs right now. All of the departments are really bursting at the seams. We've had some really great interns this summer, and we've had to scramble and place them in all different departments because we just don't physically have a desk for them to sit at or a computer for them to use. Among other things, we've got mechanicals for the building that are old, inadequate, and inefficient. And it really doesn't provide much in the way the building itself. Not a lot of meeting space or recreational space that we have maybe talked about during Envision. So Sabrina, help me, is there anything I'm missing?
No, Rob, I think that you kind of hit everything on the head. I think that the biggest thing that came out of the Envision process was that people really wanted community space and recreation space. And if you look at what we're facing in regards to inadequate systems in town hall, inadequate space, the intent to bring in somebody to help us optimize our space and flow and function of our interior spaces, to maybe look at reconfiguring the current space for better public access and administrative meeting functions, looking at community programming and really kind of taking a thorough inventory from both a functional standpoint and a condition standpoint of our building. In the past, we've conducted energy studies, understanding that our infrastructure in the building is coming to the end of its useful life, and we'd really like to be able to take advantage of greener technology. But given the existing footprint of the building and the existing condition, it's very challenging for us to do that. So before we invest in repeating a lot of the carbon-based systems that we use today, we really wanted to take a look at the condition of the building and its functionality, and really try and get a sense of how can we do better.
Thank you. So this needs analysis is really the first step to doing anything bigger and better with this building. Just kind of to determine current needs, future needs, et cetera, and that's a starting point to anything better.
Okay, well, the way I look at this is that there are several data points that we have. We did the Envision survey, which started in May of 2023. We had in-person sessions, and it culminated into a town-wide survey, which we got good, solid responses, where people were very clear, like Sabrina said, that they wanted to enhance walkability in their pedestrian experience. They wanted green spaces and specifically also recreational spaces. And they didn't want to fill the space that we looked at with a lot of housing, but they did put emphasis on recreation among the other things I mentioned. So that's one data point. The other data point is the experience of our staff and whoever uses this building. Like you said, we're running out of space, we've outgrown it. Our HVAC systems and our roof is in trouble. And so we need repairs, significant repairs. And the other data point is what our experience is with our recreation department and the demand for programming that we have. In particular, our summer programs. Last year, at the beginning of the enrollment period for this year, we had about 150 kids who were waitlisted among the 3 summer camp programs. So we know that there is a large demand for recreational space. So, you know, in terms of the survey, that's not the only data point we have. We have our experience and demands from our residents from different areas of town and different stakeholders.
And in the past, and this goes back probably 20 years or so, we've the police department in particular is kind of maxed out. They don't have adequate room down there as it is, and we did a study about 20 years ago, a feasibility study on expanding that and maybe adding on to the building. So for whatever reason, that was never followed through. That was before my time, before Sabrina's time, but this is a more comprehensive look at the entire building, not just one department.
I wanna stress what we're talking about here in terms of this building that we're in, cause I don't know that point was really made clear during the Envision process. It was such that scope was a bit larger than what we're talking about right now. And to Vicky's point, we're running out of space in this building. The HVAC system doesn't work. We have our meetings and it's raining and the ceiling is leaking in the conference room. If you're here on a Thursday during court, sometimes there's people spilling out of the building. This room is not large. If you were to take a walk through the different departments, people are really cramped. The space is cramped. The police department is out of space. So I do think that our town staff deserve an updated building. I think that we're a town with a lot of beautiful amenities. Our town hall should be one of them. And I'm looking forward to learning what this process will reveal about what we can do to make our town hall and police department more functional, updated, serve the community better. And I just wanna make sure people understand, like I don't know that they understand like the mechanics of this building need a major update. That's just the reality that we have to work with right now.
Well, I think the Envision questionnaire asked participants if they understood the needs, and I think it was clear that they don't.
Right.
Right, they
Right.
didn't understand. That was the response that we got, and that's why a feasibility study makes sense, so that the taxpayers can know.
Right. I agree with you, Jen.
And I mean, I think that it makes sense if we start at the beginning.
Yep.
What do we need? There's things that we can see, but I think a orderly expert approach to assessing it is important.
So one thing I wanna make sure of as we look at the RFP, because you've provided a draft of the RFP.
Yep.
Right, so I wanna make sure that when we hire a consultant, that it's someone who can tell us not just what we can do with the physical space, but someone who can understand our programming needs as well. You know, pick whatever program we have in town that we might need space for, that they have a good understanding of not just the amount of space, not just the square footage and the mechanicals, but how space is utilized
Yeah, in this
based
study
on different programs.
too, they won't just look at the building, they'll talk with staff too, so they'll talk with the recreation department. Sabrina's department is probably has the most density in this building, there is no room in her department, so they'll talk with the different departments to see what their needs are, with the police to see what would be better there. When they have a prisoner down there, it's difficult for them, there's no secure access to get them in and out of the building, sometimes they'll come up through the stairs, that's not ideal.
Right. So, I mean, this may seem obvious, but I just wanna make sure we get a consultant that knows how to, or an architect that knows how to understand the different uses. Because like you just said, you know, we have the police department, we have the town court, we have people who come in to, you know, to pay their fines, we have town board, we have meetings, we have staff, so and then we have the recreation department, so there are many different uses that differ very widely. So I'm sure we can find that person, but I just wanna make sure that that's captured in the RFP.
I also wanna make sure we're not just looking at the snapshot of where we are today, but that we aren't setting ourselves up to outgrow the space again immediately.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, it is part of it. It does talk about future needs. So we'd be looking at how many years out was there
I
specific
don't recall, Sabrina,
reference
do you
to-
remember how
It says
far?
the next 20 years on page
That's
6,
what I
Yeah.
thought,
scope
yeah.
of service.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, it is the future capacity is also considered.
And is that a standard span of time?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so just to give you a sense of how this RFP was written, it was based off of discussions with local professionals who do this type of work. I did extensive research of other governments who have had space needs assessments done, and I compiled what I thought was best for what we were looking for, and it's everything that you all just mentioned. And that we've been talking about. So this is very reflective of what we see as our needs. And we have to keep it open as well. And in receiving proposals, we may get additional guidance, if you will, as to what we should be looking at.
Yep, and Sabrina prepared this with input from myself and Jeff Gaspar, the town engineer as
Yes.
well.
And it was reviewed by council.
I didn't
Okay,
see
does
anything
does
that-
anyone have any comments on the proposal itself? I think it covers a wide array of all of our needs. Thank you for doing that, appreciate it, I think it's really well done. And I think we'll get into, once we hopefully make this hire, we pick a respondent, that we'll get into the details of what we in fact do want to do with the town hall and with the space.
We can clarify that, obviously we'll interview at least a candidate, hopefully we'll have several to choose from and we can make that clear in the interviews.
Okay. Alright, so what's the timing on this?
Sabrina, when do you think we'll be able to issue this?
I think we can issue this as soon as Friday. We can put it out there, and circulate it. Put it up on BidNet, I guess, I'm not sure, maybe
Yeah, well,
just circulate.
I would definitely put it on BidNet and then we'll also circulate it. I know there's some local interest in some firms that we're familiar with that we can reach out to directly to
So we'll try and get it out the door this week, and give probably about 3 or 4 weeks response time.
Okay,
Yeah, I think over the summer we need to have a kind of extended response time. You may not have, especially if we start right before July 4th weekend, we wanna definitely.
right, that
Right.
sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I look
Yeah.
forward to the responses. Thank you for preparing this.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
Sabrina.
you,
Good
Sabrina.
night.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Right, Sabrina?
Okay, Rob, you have your quarterly project update for us.
I do, picking up where Jill left off, this is my first quarterly project update, so
That's right,
what I have here is kind of a thumbnail sketch.
really tiny.
Stop me if you want more information.
You don't have any copies of it.
Unfortunately, I couldn't download it because I lost my internet today, so
And I can't read it on
and
my
I
phone.
definitely
Or you
cannot
engineered
read
it
it.
the other way on the page to make.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
put
Oh,
the
you have
packet
it like
together,
that?
I
Oh.
do, okay.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, so do you want me to just
Sorry, Rob.
start without? No, that's okay. I did the same thing, cause I definitely can't read that now. I have it on 8.5 by 14 paper, so. Do you wanna wait a minute till you receive the copy, or do you want me to start?
We should dig
What-
in on Minkle Dam, shouldn't we? Cause that could take.
Sure, so the
Yeah,
the
let's-
first one's Mako
we-
Dam,
we
so what I
can-
was gonna say,
yeah.
these are kind of thumbnail sketches. They fit in a little box, so I've got, there's quite a few projects that I'm updating. Stop me if you want any more information on it, some, there may be more information, some it's just a brief update. So Minkle Dam is the first one, and that is, as we all know, that's an ongoing multi-year project. So the delay so far has been with the DEC. So we finally heard back in the last several months on their comments. The DEC and Army Corps of Engineer had some concerns and actually rejected the original proposal that we had, which was to dewater the dam and then to take the sediment at the bottom of the dam and kind of redistribute it on the site, helping to build some walking trails, etc. So DEC's interpretation now is that that is a water course, I believe, and that we can't disturb that sediment for 5 years. So we either have to leave it there or we have to remove it completely, which adds cost, adds some time and some complexity to the project. So we have a meeting scheduled with Tectonic. I thought it was scheduled for tomorrow, but it looks like it may have been moved to a couple days from now, where we're going to kind of get an update and a path forward. Tectonic's been working on some revised plans for this and hoping to be able to get back to the DEC and get some approval to move forward with this. So funding wise, we had phase 1 of the project was funded with a FEMA BRIC grant. The funding, as far as we know, is still in place through December. Unfortunately, that's not going to cover the entire project as it's now going to be formulated. So we have a a grant that we've applied to for the remainder of the funding. The project looks like it's probably going to be in the area of $4 million at this point. We originally thought around $1.5 million, maybe close to 2 million, but looks like it's about 4 million now, and we're hoping that this grant will supply the funding for the shortfall. Any questions on Upper Minkle Dam?
Can't wait to never
Thank
talk
you.
about Upper Middle
I
Dam
can't wait to
again.
either, but
Oh my
it's
gosh.
going to be a while.
One day.
We'll all go for a nice hike in there when this is
The next project that's also
Not before.
Next project that's also taken a bit of time is the pedestrian bridge and the walking path over the duck pond. The delay in that, we went out to bid, I think back in November, December. We had 3 respondents. Unfortunately, 2 ended up being not qualified and 1 ended up withdrawing their response after they determined they could not complete the project. So we were back to the drawing board. Tectonic has had the plans and they're redesigning the plans. We think there were a couple components of the project that prevented more bidders from bidding on the project, and maybe it wasn't quite clear enough to the other 2 that weren't qualified. Actually, it had no bridge experience whatsoever, so we
Jeff had given us a presentation on this, right?
Yeah.
And this is, right, I remember he touched
Yeah.
upon these issues.
So I think we finally have Tectonic's revised plans and we're looking to, I think we'll be able to go out to bid in early June. Early July. I don't think we'll get it by the end of this week, but we should be ready to go with that. The Byram Lake Road culvert replacement, that is currently with DEC for their review. They're not particularly quick. We have submitted what we believe was the final design. We're not anticipating hearing for about 90 days on that right now to approve the design. There were also some issues. We had 2 properties that we had to have consent, one a consent and release to enter the property and one an easement to access it for maintenance. Lino helped us out with that. We believe those are in place, so that won't hold us up any longer, but we're now waiting for DEC to approve the project. Okay, Shether Road, we are finally just about done with that project. We started that, I think, in late March or early April. There were a few changes to the design as we got out in the field. They expect to actually have that done by the end of this week, and we can hopefully open that road back up. That's been shut down for about 2 months now. Okay, the North Bedford Road Pump Station. This was the pump station. We had to replace some electrical work and the pumps at the pump station.
Oh, you skipped, there's one that
Did I
East of
miss-
Hudson
Oh, east of Hudson, stormwater quality improvement. We
Right.
really haven't had any
Oh, there's nothing there.
updates
Okay.
on those recently. I know, Vicky, we've been kind of working with east of Hudson.
Yes, we have, yeah, sorry, I was just looking at the one column, yeah.
So the North Bedford Road pump station requires the replacement of the pumps and some electrical equipment. We had unfortunately a long lead time. We have awarded the contract, but we've had a long lead time on receiving the electrical equipment. Bart tells me we hope to begin the construction there in September, and completion of the project will be about 6 months following that. The trenchless water main that's going underneath the Sawmill River Parkway and the Metro North tracks, that's been delayed for quite some time. The contractors needed to take some soil samples, and unfortunately Metro North has not been easy. It's not easy to take the borings. They've been difficult to provide the permit for that. The contractor finally received the approval for the third boring, and unfortunately his insurance expired from what I was told, and now they've just gotta get a new insurance certificate and they can complete that boring. I'm told that the engineering on that is about 90 or 95% complete. They just need to see the final composition of the soil underneath the track to determine the final design for that. Okay, this cement lining, water mains, Bart tells me that is one of the projects that they've got coming up on their plate. They've got quite a few things going on, but that's one of the things. They've identified water mains in on Kathleen Lane, Daly Cross, Horseshoe Road, Valley View Road, Brookside Circle, High Point Circle, Lakeview, Adams, and Possum Roads. Those were candidates for the water relining. Rather than replacement, they'll just cement reline those water mains.
Rob, how do they determine whether a water main needs to be relined?
So I think it has to go to age and condition of the main. If it's an older main, they'll probably just replace it. If they determine it's a younger main, I don't know the exact age that he uses, but I know throughout town the soil composition is very acidic in certain areas, and that causes, if you looked at the downtown project, the water mains down there were not particularly old, as old as some of them around town, and they had been eaten from both sides. They were eroding from the inside and from the outside. So I think some of that has to do with whether or not we can cement reline them or we have to replace them altogether.
So it's age basically,
I think it's age.
okay.
We have some water main replacements. This one was already completed, the one up on Meadow, Pinecliff Ridge in Alden. That was finished late last year. The punch list items were completed early this year and final payment was made. This was the project that we used our ARPA funding from the COVID. That ended up coming in about $1.6 million or so. So we had that fully funded by ARPA. The Millwood Water Treatment Plant, I think these are the heating oil tanks. These are the last projects, the last oil tanks in town, I think, that we are bringing from below ground to above ground. Let's see, we issued the RFP this spring, and did they come back already? Did we award that? We're not awarding that yet, okay. So we did get the bids, or the RFPs were returned. Probably for the July 8th meeting, we will name the contractor. The Quaker Road Water Replacement Project, that's where we are pairing with the county we're gonna replace the water main. The county is running the sewer line up there. The only update we have on that right now is they will not be beginning that project until the sewer relief main down on Joan Corwin Way is complete. I'll update that in just a second, but that's not complete, and we're probably not looking at the water main there in Quaker until probably 2027 at the earliest.
Is there any risk to that timeline?
No, so the water main is kind of a convenience, because the county's already gonna have the road open with the sewer line. We have to replace the main, it's not in really any danger, it's, you know, it was one of those on Bart's list, but it was easier for us to do it at that point to partner with the county while the road was always already open. It would be less disruption for them to go in and then us 10 years later to go in. There's some economies of scale that we can partner with traffic control and paving costs, et cetera, that we share with the county instead of absorbing that cost on our own.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I wanna thank Ken Jenkins, County Executive Jenkins, for helping us facilitate this partnership with the county.
Yep, they've been helpful. We met a couple times and like I say, they were very understanding because the Joan Corwin Way project is gonna be, that's an 18-month project and that's gonna have an effect on the traffic there. We did not want traffic affected further up Quaker at the same time, so
Right.
The county's working with us there. Okay, the Millwood Water Treatment Plant, the generator replacement, everybody remembers that a couple summers ago. So the generator's installed, we were waiting for the transfer switch, that has come in. Our in-house electrician, Dan Rubino's working on that currently. The Chapac solar installation actually started yesterday. They came out, so the materials were received. Solar panels they started work about a week early, so that's begun. The replacement of the auditorium fixtures within the Chapac with LED lights, that was completed. That was funded solely by a generous contribution or a generous grant allocation from Senator Pete Harcum. That was one of the DASNY grants that we've received, and we did finish that project earlier this year.
And it looks great.
Yeah, very, very good.
I was there last night.
Chapac, there is a walkway, so we completed the handicap parking area around Chapac. There was a walkway and a railing that were designed, unfortunately the engineers, their initial design was not adequate for that space. It didn't meet ADA requirements, I believe, so we ended up designing that in-house. Miguel and Bob ended up designing that, and it's complete. We're just waiting to get that back to the contractor to be able to finish that. Lino kind of helped us to remove the engineer from the project.
Well, thank you
It's a nice way
to
of saying it.
thank you to Bob and Miguel, that's great.
The Millwood Park, the ADA access to the playground, that was completed last summer. We haven't been able to close out the project. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to give the contractor their final payment because they are not complying with the documentation requirements, so they'll get paid when they do that. I guess they're not in a hurry.
That's strange, okay.
That's literally it, is just
That's it, yeah, if
Documentation
you got,
payment.
we were actually up there this morning looking at
looks
trees up
great.
there, it looks good, they did a
Great.
good job.
It does.
Next is the chap line. I gave the board a little update in executive session. So the request for qualifications for the design of this project were due back they were due back on the 16th. So that was a week ago. We received 4 responses to that, so there is an internal committee that's meeting to review the RFQ responses, and we look to offer one of those contractors to the board either July 22nd or August 12th at the latest. And I will mention, we did finally secure the Metro North easement. We have been looking for that had been in the works for 2 years. We found out last week we received it, and the price was right, at no cost to the town, so that was fortunate.
You undersell how big that is.
Very big. The vac hall that we are purchasing, this was one of the water quality improvement project grants that we received last year for $325,000. There was a long lead time to receive this. BART is expecting this in the fall of this year. What's important about this vehicle is this is going to go a long way towards helping us to comply with the new MS4 requirements. The current piece of equipment that we have, in addition to being just very old, it was very undersized, and we were not able to clean out the volume of catch basins that we needed, so this is gonna help us to comply with that. The Millwood Sidewalk project, that one is another multi-year project. DOT's been involved in that. We did finally get the approval from New York State DOT for the land acquisition, the easements that we required. Now where we're sitting is there are some utility pole replacements that Con Ed needs, and they've submitted for permits to the DOT. They're waiting for those to be approved. The design, I think, is close to 100% for that. Once Con Ed has those, we'll be able to go out to bid for that.
Okay, now, Rob, this is along Route 100,
Yes.
this sidewalk,
Yep.
okay, right. Just to make sure, because we also sometimes talk about the complete streets sidewalk connecting Millwood to and Gedney to Chappaqua Hamlet, so this is the old project.
Yes, correct. That's been in the works for years. Now I've got some projects that are not town projects, but wanna keep the board updated on these next couple are New York State DOT projects. We have a culvert replacement on Route 117 at Old House Lane. And we have a culvert at Sawmill River Parkway between Quaker Road, between the Quaker Road Bridge and Horace Greeley statue. So for the Route 117 culvert, the current plans are to relocate the utilities this fall and begin the culvert replacement in the spring. Our staff thinks that's unlikely because they haven't yet submitted the plans for Department of Health approval, so we think it probably going to be a little bit further on than that. For the Sawmill Parkway culvert, the plans call for the sewer main relocation of the sewer main in the summer of 2025 and the work to begin in the summer of 2026. Again, we don't think that's likely at this point, but that's the last update that we had from the New York State DOT on that.
Do you know how much of a disruption it's going to be when they do
Significant.
start those?
So our staff has met a couple times with them. We've had some input. I know Bart had some input on the culvert on 117 Sawmill River. They're not going to do them simultaneously because they will both have an impact on the traffic. So once we do have more information, I'll keep the board updated with that for sure.
I mean, like, I'm just trying to get a sense of the magnitude, like, is 117 gonna be closed for a period of time?
I think it is.
Okay. That's,
So we don't have the final design plans for that yet, but if not closed completely, it may go down to one lane, but I know they're redirecting the truck routes there too, so.
thanks for keeping an eye on that, cause that's going to be very disruptive.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we wanna say that it's going to be closed completely without knowing for sure.
We don't know that yet.
Usually they do try to keep one lane open if there's a closure, it's very minimal for a few number of hours, but we really have no idea, so I just don't wanna get ahead of this and you know.
Bart is meeting with them routinely, so when we have an update on that, we'll share it. The relief sewer project on Joan Corwin Way, the county has finally issued that bid. They expect the return of bids on July 16th. They anticipate naming a contractor in October. There's some requirements within that I don't believe they're actually gonna start that until spring of 2026. They'll name the contractor in October, and they may come out and do some of the prep work, but the actual construction I don't think will begin until spring of 2026. That's an 18-month project. Again, we'll update the board when we have specific traffic plans. That will be very disruptive to that area. And the project that I mentioned a bit ago with the Westchester County project, the extension of the county trunk, and our water main replacement project, as I said before, that will not start until the end of the other project on Joan Coleman Way. Sabrina reached out last week. We were unable to get an update. We mentioned the grant that had been received for the design work for the grade crossing elimination over the Sawmill Parkway. We don't have a current update from New York State. Sabrina reached out and did not have a response yet on that.
Yeah, that was a federal DOT grant.
Yeah. It's about,
And it went through the state DOT.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
I think it was about, was it 2.7 million?
Yeah, I think you got it right, 2.6, just for the engineering.
Yes, just for the engineering. Yep. Okay, and finally, we have some in-house projects that are kind of on the horizon. I don't think these, all of these have started yet. So, Vicky, you mentioned the feasibility study for the sidewalk on Millwood Road between the North County Trailhead and Getney Park. We've kind of, as we transition from Bob Cioli as engineer to Jeff, our engineering department's pretty overloaded right at the moment, so that's on our radar, but they haven't been able to work on that quite yet. The feasibility study for the sidewalk along 117, so I think I updated the board on that a couple weeks ago. So phase one, we've contracted with the survey and design for phase one, which is the area kind of right on the corner there, right around the mobile station. They're working on that now, and they expect that to take place before the end of the year. Phase two is further along to Salem Road. That's gonna require, we're still getting a proposal for the survey. And I think our staff is gonna take a look at that in-house as well to kind of determine the feasibility. There's a few properties that would be affected, and we're trying to determine how affected they will be in order to see if we wanna proceed with that project.
Yeah, I'm sure that will complicate it a bit, but do you have any idea of a timeline despite, the
I don't, we've gotta complete that first one, the corner first, because that sidewalk is the existing sidewalk that's really deteriorated, so we need to make sure that's completed first.
But that sounds like it'll be relatively quick
Yes,
by
it
the end
sounds
of the
like it.
year.
Yeah.
So do we wanna wait, we're not waiting for that before
We're not waiting,
starting
no, but we're,
the
well,
other phase two.
we're gonna, I think we're waiting for a proposal from that surveyor, we're gonna use the same survey and design company.
So the phase two isn't waiting to start.
It's not waiting to start, we
Until
just,
phase one is over, but it's
No,
just a
not-
different aspect of it.
correct, yeah.
Okay.
Rob, did we ever find anything out about how Pleasantville got their sidewalks on 117
We did,
with the snow shelf and all of that?
no.
Can we find out? I really wanna know that.
But that was in conjunction with a development, right?
It was
With
in
the development
conjunction
of
with the
those.
development, and I
those
think it
houses.
had been approved a while ago, I don't know specifically why, and well, maybe you can help me, is the state gonna tell us why they relaxed the snow shelf requirements on that road? Probably not. So I don't know that would be a hindrance, at least to Salem, maybe further on down the road, that might be a hindrance. The issue getting to Salem again is you've got some properties that are right up on the road right there.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about from, heading toward the high school.
Oh, okay.
Like, the people want sidewalks
So
there.
we had looked at that in the past, and that was not feasible in the past. That was because it wasn't just a snow shelf, I think, I mean, that was a component of it, but you were taking, that had a significant amount of property taking.
Yeah, there's an eminent domain, yeah.
That made
Take
it really
property away.
cost prohibitive.
And retaining walls.
Retaining walls, yeah, said,
It was the same for Douglas Road.
right, and also up on 117, part of the issue was it was gonna make quite a few of those homes non-compliant zoning wise, so that was an issue too. That was, we had actually received a grant and borrowed money, that's what we ended up shifting to Millwood because we just couldn't do it, that was studied back in probably before I became controller, so it was, but I was in the town, so probably 2007, 8, 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah, but it's not just that either. You also have the topography with blind curves and having to sometimes switch over to the other side of the road to continue sidewalk, and that's very dangerous on a state road.
Yeah, on a state
Except,
road,
you know,
the state DOT,
Expect a state a crossing, so
yeah, they probably would not.
there were a lot of reasons for that, not just, making a property zoning non-compliant, which we could,
We
we could
could,
give
but
exceptions for that, but those weren't the main reasons.
no, but there were a variety of reasons on that, and yeah, the state would not approve a mid-block crossing on a state road.
Right, these were highly dangerous sites to have a sidewalk. But this is going to Salem Road, the one we're talking about,
Right,
and that is a
right.
highly utilized area. There's no sidewalk, but people are walking there quite a bit,
Yep.
which is dangerous, so
I see people walking there daily.
yeah, so we're going to do everything we can to build a sidewalk there, but there are a couple of properties that have to be addressed.
Okay, there's some stormwater improvements that are required, going up, I guess, on the corner of going up King Street in Greeley. Don't have an update on that right now. Jill's last update was we were expecting to work on that in-house this year. I think that may end up being a fall or a winter project that they're looking at, but I'll have to confirm.
I'm not sure I understand what the issue is there, cause
So the businesses there, when we have excessive rain, they kind of flood the way the drainage, they're seeing flooding, so I think we're hoping to alleviate some of the.
so is it that entire stretch like between the community center and the
I think so,
intersection?
yeah. The proposed sewer service at Amsterdam Park, we're currently working, that's one of the projects our engineering department is working with on the in-house design. That we received another DASNY grant, $250,000. We're hoping that will allow us to increase our recreational offerings up there. Putting sewer service in will allow us to install 2 bathrooms. We've also, as a different part of the Amsterdam property, we put some heat pumps in there as well. So a lot of renovation going on up in Amsterdam. Hopefully that will make that building a little more usable.
Yeah, that'll be for Camp Adventure.
Yep.
Right, so, okay, hopefully there'll be no waiting lists.
So we have the town hall parking lot improvements. We've kind of put that on hold right now until we do the assessment on the building. It probably wouldn't be a great idea to repave the parking lot if we may end up expanding the building or doing anything, reconfiguring the lot, so we're holding off on that right now. The same thing as far as the refurbishment and expansion of the facilities at town hall. We are the recycling and parks garage building repairs, that project's currently underway. There's some repairs to the roof, and I think at the recycling garage, the foundation needs some repair there. We have the Chapac boiler replacement project. That's still on hold, we haven't done anything with that yet. That's on the horizon, we know the boiler needs replacing there, but we have not completed that yet. And finally, the renovation for ADA compliance of the town hall bathrooms. You see the men's room is currently out of order here. That is the 5th of 5 bathrooms that our staff in-house has replaced. We've had a contractor doing the tile work, but everything else, Chip, Walter, and Dan have redone, from putting in the ceiling, the walls, the new fixtures, wiring in there. The town hall staff has done all of that, so.
Walter is amazing. I got to work with him a little bit. He's really
Yeah, he's,
spectacular.
He is, thank you, Walter.
Yes.
the whole staff, I mean, when you look at Chip as a great
Chip is
carpenter
working with him
and
too.
Dan Rubino, most municipalities do not have an electrician in-house like we do.
Very
And
fortunate.
they've got to contract all that work out, so
It's
that's,
very fortunate.
yeah, he's excellent.
So Rob, essentially we're putting the work in town hall on hold, except for the bathroom, which is in disrepair now,
Yeah.
but everything you have listed here.
Yeah, I think anybody, in
Anything else?
particular, the ladies' room, remembers how bad that was.
Looks
Yeah.
really nice now.
It is nice.
But considering this RFP, we're just putting all this on hold.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
What about that boiler replacement? That
So-
was like a huge.
It is, and that's been ordered, so unfortunately, that is one thing that we had to replace here. We had found out that was actually dangerous. So we needed to go ahead and order that right away. That there wasn't just a comfort issue, there was a safety issue there.
Now, I noticed there wasn't no mention of like the EV chargers that are being replaced and installed. Do you have an update on that?
Yep, we're just completing the contract with that for the grant. That was a NYSERDA grant, so Sabrina's working on that. That should be beginning soon. I know we've just completed the contract work for that.
Thanks.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Rob.
Yay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Rob.
Congrats on your first quarterly project update. So who's doing the financial quarterly? Is that
You will hear, so on July 8th, Alan Cassay will be here to present the audit results and the financial statements, and I've asked Carl to do his first
Right.
financial
Our new
update as
town
well.
controller, we're looking
So,
forward to having him at his first meeting. I assume that will be his first.
Yep.
He's not coming before.
No,
Okay.
and it's been hard to keep my hands off that, cause
Yeah,
I've done that
I
for so long, but
Sorry, I shouldn't have brought it up.
yeah,
But
Well,
you'll be here,
I'll let him
so
take
you'll
over,
be,
I'll be
you know.
here, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so do you wanna go over the administrative items before we close this out?
Sure. So we have retroactive payment of claims for checks dated on June 12th. We have adoption of monthly reports for May. Adoption of the meeting minutes for May. We have an authorization to attend a conference for the police department. Authorization to approve a noise waiver at 415 Sorrel Street. This is an event that resident holds each year. They hire a couple of police officers to help with traffic control. We've had no complaints over that in the past. We have 2 resolutions for the water quality improvement program. The first one is the funding for the decommissioning of the Upper Minkle Dam. And the second one is for live edge snowplow blades for Barton. We have the authorization to purchase 2 police motorcycles with funding from a press grant. We want to thank Senator Pete Harcum for that. He's helping out with that. We have an authorization to utilize senior trust funds for a senior trip. And we have an authorization to renew our workers' comp coverage for 1 more year. So we're back with PERMA. The rate, just because Joe and I are kind of proud of that. Back when RJ first joined us, we had a workers' comp renewal of close to $1 million. And our renewal now is in the area of $300,000. So we cleaned up the workers' comp claims over the years, and we've kept them low. And because of that, PERMA continues to give us a reasonable quote.
Okay, any questions from anyone? Okay, thank you, Rob. I'd like to ask for motion to adjourn the work session and open the town board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we are now in our town board meeting, so any announcements?
So I do have a couple. Just wanna remind everybody the parking year, the renewal for parking permits began on June 15th. So we're still seeing a pretty steady volume coming into the town clerk's office. So just wanna remind everybody to come in and renew your permit. You can renew it online on our website. The app is Pango for anybody returning with a permit from last year. And Irene or Patty or Christina will help walk you through it in the clerk's office. But it's important that everybody comes in to renew their parking permit. The prior year expired. And I do want to just let everybody know, unfortunately, the end of the year event we have scheduled each year here, the recreation event for the students out on Rec Field, that was scheduled for tomorrow. We're gonna move that to Thursday, same hours from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We just thought with the excessive heat we've had here the last couple of days, it would be a good idea to move it to the next day. So we had Thursday as a rain date, it's actually gonna end up being the heat date for us, and we'll hold that event on Thursday instead.
Okay, I'm sure the kids will love that.
Yep.
That's a great new activity that we've started in town, right, about 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years now. It's a nice event. They've got pizza while it lasts. I think they have an ice truck that comes out there. They've got a bounce house and I think a couple other, they've got some games and events. So I think it's usually well attended.
Yeah, so I just wanna say thank you to Ike for thinking of it. It's a nice way to work with the schools. It's on the last day of school and so the town provides it for the school kids and I think that's a great way to all be part of the same community. Okay, let's see, for the,
Oh, Vicky,
yes,
I just wanted to mention that the compost program, it's now 24 hours instead of just dropping off during the recycling center's hours, which I think is
okay.
great for folks who have trouble getting there during the open hours, so it's now a 24-hour drop off.
Okay, do we have that? Did we have that in the newsletter?
We did, I believe.
I thought we did, yeah, but it's good to
Yeah,
let people
so
know here.
we replaced, what we ended up doing is putting the receptacles outside of the gate, so the gate was, I guess, locked at a certain hour each night. So what we've done is place the receptacles outside so that anybody can drop off the composting outside of the gate.
Right.
I know Bart wanted to make sure just it's just, or Mike Sicali, I'm sorry, wanted to remind everybody, make sure it's just food composting that you're putting in there and not other recyclables.
Yes.
Great, I think
Okay.
that's great, maybe more people will participate.
Right, I think we put it pretty prominently if anyone scrolls down and reads the whole newsletter. When we'll have it in again.
Okay.
Okay. For the supervisor's report, Rob, are you all set?
Yeah, all set with the
Okay.
announcements, yeah.
Alright, so for the supervisor's report, I wanna let everyone know that I attended Assemblyman Chris Burdick's Women of Distinction Awards for 2025. It was held at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center for the second year in a row. So we were very honored to hold this really great event here in Newcastle. There were about 200 people in attendance. It was a lot of people. There were 37 honorees, but people were able to invite as many guests as they wanted. As opposed to what was going on before, they were constrained. So it was a real honor to hold it here. There were 37 honorees, but we had 3 from the town of Newcastle. And I wanna say that one of them was our own Holly McCall, who was honored for her work on the town board and on the school board and as treasurer of Up to Us and I think founding member and as a member of the Rotary. We also had Vaishali Bhattacharya, who is on the town committee for inclusion and belonging. Vaishali worked on PTA district committees as well, doing a lot of work on equity and belonging. And she was instrumental, along with our co-chair, Tara Ramirez, who's instrumental in bringing the Story Exchange program to town. And she's also the president of the Indian Cultural Association of Westchester. So we're very proud of Vaishali as well. And also Judge Lizette Fernandez is a resident of Newcastle who was recognized for her service as she's the first Ecuadorian American judge in the 9th Judicial District with a long history of her work in the judiciary. So we're very proud to have these 3 wonderful women recognized from the town of Newcastle. It was a great event, and I just have to say how much I appreciate having Chatback as a community theater, because, you know, as opposed to renting it to a private operator who could put, you know, whatever performances are that might be very good, we could also use the theater here for our town and the surrounding towns as well. So we're very lucky to have this community theater, and I look forward to you know, developing it and seeing the progress with Chatback in the future. And that's all I have for the supervisor's report. Anything else from the board that anyone wants to report? No? Okay. Let's see. Rob, we are up to town administrator's report. I don't know how different that is from the announcements, but if you have anything for that.
No, it's not much different, and I had just I wanted to mention the Cheddar Road we expect, but I covered that in the current projects update, but Cheddar Road is due to be opened this weekend, and that was about all I had.
Okay. Now we've reached the public comment period. If anyone wants to make a public comment, please come up to the microphone and identify yourself. I don't think there's anyone here in person to make a comment, and seeing that there are none. Is there anyone online for public comment?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, so we will close the public comment period, and we will open a public hearing regarding a local law on a local law regarding no camping on public places. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lino, would you like to start us off with the legislation?
Sure, this is a proposed legislation, local law that prohibits camping on public places, including public streets, sidewalks, alleyways, passageways, and other rights of way on publicly owned property. And the law prohibits lodging or camping on a public street, including any parked vehicle on a public street, and there are fines anywhere from $250 to $500 for violating this provision. It does allow for permitted camping, obviously with proper permits from the town, but for the most part, this local law mirrors other similar local laws that other towns have adopted for camping in public spaces. So we've basically taken that, tailored it towards Newcastle, and that's what you have on tonight. The only thing I will say, when we had done this on section F, enforcement, when I spoke to the chief, he wanted me to remove it. In my version, it has been removed, but in the version you have before you, it's still there, but the local law that you're proposing to adopt has that removed. So under enforcement, it says, the local law shall be enforced by any other officer of the town of Newcastle Police Department and the town building department and New York State Trooper. So we removed New York State Trooper because the chief said all you really need is the town of Newcastle and the building department, so we removed the state police reference, that's all. That's the only
Okay.
modification.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Okay, so the public hearing is open. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make a comment on this proposed local law? Okay, no one is making a comment in person. Is there anyone online?
No hands are raised.
Okay. All right, well, seeing that there are no public comments at all, I would propose that we close the public hearing and leave the record open for any written comments.
So I would suggest
What do you
maybe
think?
leaving it open till Friday noon for
Friday
written
noon,
comments.
yeah, that's what we usually do. Okay, so may I have a motion,
To close the oral, the public comment portion of the meeting and leave it open for written comment till Friday till noon.
okay,
That's
So
the
moved.
motion.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're up to our consent agenda. Rob, do you wanna run through it?
Yes.
Okay.
For consent agenda, we have the adoption of monthly reports from May of 2025, adoption of minutes, May of 2025, authorization to attend conference for the police chief, authorization to approve the noise waiver at 415 Sarl Street, the resolution in support of the town of Newcastle's request for funding through the New York State Water Quality Improvement Program for the decommissioning of the Upper Minkle Dam. We have the resolution in support of the town of Newcastle's request for funding through the New York State Water Quality Improvement Program for the live edge snowplow blades. The authorization to purchase 2 police motorcycles utilizing funding from a trust grant. Authorization to utilize senior trust funds for a senior trip. And the authorization to renew workers' compensation coverage for PERMA.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Okay, let's start with the resolutions. Holly, do you wanna start us off?
I move to adopt the items 1 through 9 as listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $629,942.06 listed on the summary AP check register and detail voucher detail report, both dated June 12th, 2025. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Thursday, June 12th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead, why don't you each take one?
Okay.
I will do it.
I move to authorize the hiring of Kevin McCarville for the position of recreation attendant within the Recreation and Parks Department at the rate of $18 or $20 per hour, varying per event, effective June 25th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the hiring of Oliver Jacobs at a rate of $20 per hour and Richard Chrysler at the rate of $24 per hour for the position, of seasonal laborers within the Recreation and Parks Department, effective July 14th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to authorize the hiring of the following individuals for the position of recreation attendant within the Recreation and Parks Department to serve as camp counselors at the corresponding rates as indicated below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion to
I
adjourn.
think we have one other one we missed.
One
Oh,
more,
yeah?
if you guys wanna issue the RFP for the Newcastle Town Hall needs.
Were you okay with the draft of the contract?
Yes, I was okay with it, yeah.
Okay, yep, then we can issue.
So can we get a motion to authorize the issuance of a request for proposals for Newcastle Town Hall space needs and feasibility assessment?
May I have such motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jeremy, move to adjourn, may I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.